Okay. Okay, Helene. Okay. Helene.
My phone died. So
Oh, you use this on your computer?
yeah, yes, I am. But I'm saying this.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Okay, let's get rolling. Can you hear me?
Just have to talk
Okay.
loud.
Okay, this is 9/3/25, about 5:30. The City of Durango Council
Hi,
meeting
Mark.
will come to order. We have order. Could you close those doors? Could we close the door? Alrighty, could we have a roll call?
Councilor Gonzalez,
Mhm.
Councilor Koso,
Here.
Mayor Yazzie,
Here.
Councilor Beal,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff.
Here.
The next item on the agenda, Mayor, is the reading of the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement.
This is a call to honor and respect Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. As residents and visitors of Durango, we are called upon to educate ourselves about the history and cultural heritage of the land we inhabit. The city of Durango is situated on the ancestral homelands and territories of the Nuchu, Ute, Jicarilla Apache, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi-Sinum, Hopi, and Dene Navajo nations. The original stewards of this land were forcibly removed and exposed to countless atrocities by the United States government, including repeatedly broken treaties, forced assimilation, the tragic legacy of Indian boarding schools, and the loss of ancestral homelands. We recognize lasting generational trauma exists within Native communities today. We affirm the continuing importance of ancestral sites to descendant communities as integral to the living cultural landscape. This acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountable relationships and informed actions. May this serve as a step toward inclusion and reconciliation.
The next item on the agenda is the introduction of the translator.
And also we have a online and we have an in-person translator too.
All right, Liz, you should be able to speak now.
Okay. Thank you. So thank you so much for practicing language justice. Today, I am partnering up with Sam Guzman, who's my colleague from the CLC. And today we're going to practice language justice so that everyone can speak and hear in the language of their heart. In order to turn it on via Teams, you may go to the menu, to the interpretation menu. There should be a little globe on there and you can select English or Spanish from there. If you have any issues, raise your hand. Muy buenas tardes. El día de hoy voy a interpretar junto con mi colega Samuel Guzmán. Vamos a interpretar de inglés a español simultáneamente para poder así practicar justicia lingüística y que todos tengan derecho así a hablar y a ser escuchados en el idioma de su corazón. En Teams, el día de hoy puede usted tener acceso a interpretación por medio del menú de más y allí seleccionar inglés o español, o si tiene un globo terráqueo en su pantalla, también ahí puede seleccionarlo. And we can get started.
Next up is opening remarks from by mayor and council.
Alrighty, thank you. Let me go down to the stage. Hi, Jose. Because of your recognition as one of the top 10 city managers in the USA as recognized by the Governmental Business Review. In recognition of your exceptional leadership and dedication to public service, we proudly honor your nomination as one of the top 10 city managers in the United States 2025. Congratulations. Couple words.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the support that you have given myself and the staff in being able to be recognized. I am so blessed and it's a dream come true to have a career to be a city manager in this community in Durango, and representing Durango on a national stage is awesome. And then a big thank you really to the staff at the city of Durango. They're amazing. Without them, none of this is possible. And so I share this with the council, the community, and the staff. Thank you.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is presentations and proclamations. There are no proclamations on the agenda tonight.
Sorry, Council, we passed the opening remarks?
Oh, you know what? You can do it at your committee.
Okay.
6.
So next up would be city manager updates.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I did just want to provide you an update regarding our ongoing negotiations with La Plata County regarding the 911 client service agreement, as well as the tenants in common agreement. As you recall, at our joint meeting with the La Plata County Commissioners on May 12th, Katie Fox, our 911 director, presented the county's request on the city's calls for service billing methodology, which outlined how costs were allocated on actual service demand. We also discussed the internal cost allocation model and the need for the city to be reimbursed for our internal costs for operating the 911 dispatch center. The next day, we did forward the cost allocation model to the county manager for the review and feedback. Subsequently, on May 28th, the city and county staff met to continue discussions. During that meeting, Mark did present them with a draft tenants in common agreement. We also discussed the client services agreement in detail, had some conversations regarding their concerns about budget increases in the mid-year. Did agree with them that anything over 10% would need to be approved by more than 60% of the funders of the 911 center, which basically means it'd have to be the city and the county agreeing. The meeting concluded positively, with both parties agreeing that the next step would be for the county to provide comments on the proposed agreements. Unfortunately, the progress has kind of stalled at that point. I did reach out about almost 2 months later, asking for the county manager if there was any follow-up with the items for a draft red line for us to review. That did not come forth. On August 1st, I did receive an email from them stating that a red line version of the tenants in common agreement would be for us for our review by the middle of next week, and he would send it over as soon as possible. On August 8th, I hadn't heard anything, so I checked back again. Then found out that the progress hadn't been complete. They were unable to complete their review. On August 15th, they did let us know again that unfortunately they were still in a holding pattern regarding the feedback on the contract. Would call me to update me on Monday. That's when on August 19th, I received an email that said despite best intentions, they had not completed a draft of the tenants in common agreement for the city's consideration. While they could not give a specific date, they assured me that moving this matter forward remained a priority. On August 27th, I did inform the county manager that I would be providing this update to the city council. At that time, we hadn't received any comments in over 3 months, and we're trying to get this continued to push forward. Yesterday, we did finally receive red line comments on the tenant in common draft from the county on May 28th. As some city council members are going to know, we've been attempting to finalize these agreements with the county since November of 25. So this has been a long-going process. We are getting close to budget year in 2026, and this does have a financial impact for us. The client services agreements have been executed with every other client agency in late 2025, which includes the Durango Fire Protection District, the Upper Pine Fire District, Fort Mesa Fire District, Bayfield Town Marshal, and Fort Lewis College. So we are really trying to get this wrapped up as soon as possible. We do have other agencies that are providing and abiding by the cost allocation as well as their cost for services based on the uses of calls in 2025. On the financial front, we did receive a Q2 payment of $170,000, which, like the Q1 payment that we received, is partial and did not account for the $179,000 that's expected, which should be the quarterly payment, which would include the cost for the calls for service as well as our internal cost allocation. So subsequently, we're about $17,000 down for half of the year. If they continue to pay at that amount, we'll approximately be $34,000 short at the end of the year if the county does not submit full payment. We've consistently maintained that full reimbursement is warranted, especially since we provided the cost allocation breakdown back in May. I've rated this position in multiple emails, emphasizing that all other client services agencies have paid in full and that the county had previously committed to doing the same once the methodology was understood. I have not gotten any comments on the methodology as well, so no follow-up on that. Throughout this process, I've stressed the importance of timely progress and open communication. While the county has expressed a desire to resolve the CSA and related agreements before the end of the year, the lack of responsiveness that we've had at this point is a little bit of a point of a concern for us. We still are on the tenants in common agreement. We haven't even gotten to the client services agreement. They won't discuss that until they finish the tenants in common. So it does look like this is still a long way to go with a lot more discussions to be had. Nevertheless, we do remain committed to working collaboratively and in good faith to bring matter to this resolution. I'll pass it over to Mark if there's anything he wants to add on his draft comments and maybe some of comments on the revisions that he received.
Yeah, I'll just remind the council that you guys had a joint meeting with the commissioners, and you charged my office with developing an agreement for the use of that building. We had that done in less than a week. We had a meeting with the county. They requested a writable copy. They got that the same day or the next day. And then we didn't hear anything until this week. So if my office was to respond in kind, you're looking at January. Obviously, that's not the way we do business in the city. We'll turn around their comments within a week. I did look through it just briefly. There's one major concern. One of the paragraphs I want actually changes the premise of a tenants in common agreement. But I'll make those comments to them and get them back within a week.
So there's no action for the council to take at this time. I think the intent from the staff side was to provide you an update on this because it's not moving at a pace that I think we may get something done hopefully by the end of the budget year. And hopefully I am wrong, but that will be a concern for us. That is funding that actually funds our 911 dispatch center, providing a very important service without a contract also has liability concerns that we're taking on. And we're hopeful that maybe with some extended communication from the council to commissioners that this can begin to proceed at a little bit of a faster pace so that we can have this wrapped up.
All right, thank you.
So the next item is committee, board, and liaison reports.
It looks like Kip's got his hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. First, I'd like to propose a motion to amend the agenda to bring item 14.3 immediately prior to 11.2. What this does is the discussion around a subcommittee for the FAB. We would have that discussion before we vote on the tabled item around modification of the FAB bylaws. It makes sense to me that if we decide to move forward with the subcommittee that we would have to table again the conversation around FAB bylaws. Does that make sense?
Well, formulating the FAB bylaws and moving forward with the changes to that won't impact the study session on creating a subcommittee. We're still going to have that study session.
Sure. I believe if the subcommittee moves forward
Yes.
under the FAB, then many of the bylaw changes under the FAB being proposed right now would no longer be pertinent. They would be the responsibility of the subcommittee.
So you have a motion to amend the agenda. It
Yeah.
needs a second before there's.
Can you bring new business up before, like move new business? Does that matter or no?
It's your agenda.
Okay,
If it
whatever we
works
wanna
better
do.
for you guys as a group.
My concern and the reason why I'll vote against it is because if we're gonna have a study session about creating another Parks and Rec board and then interviews for a Parks and Rec board, we're not getting to that Parks and Rec board, appointing them until my guess is the new year with the holidays and the budget and everything else. I would like the FAB board to potentially continue moving forward regardless, and then we can amend them again if we decide to do that. That's my only reason why I'll vote no.
All righty, we have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
No.
Mayor Yazzie,
No.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilor Beal,
No.
Councilor Costa.
Yes.
All right, are there any other committee and board reports?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had a handful of meetings over the last couple of weeks. My first one since our last meeting, I met with Enrique Orozco with Los Compañeros. I got to meet with him and have conversations around immigration enforcement in our community. Then right after that, I had my office hours, which was great. Got to talk about sales tax, use tax, all those sorts of things. And then also Bear Smart, ADUs, that's the sustainability goals, a lot of things around that. Also met with constituents regarding ADUs and my proposed getting rid of minimum lot size requirements. So they helped me get up to speed on what was done in the past and why. And so it was good to have some alternating perspective on that. And then I also met with Brian from Bear Smart and walked the alleys and talked about how we could do a better job with trying to limit bear interactions in the city. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I had actually Shirley and I both had the Alliance Board retreat where it was a great half-day discussion out at the new Esoterra place out at in the county, just towards the airport. It's gorgeous. If you haven't been there, go check it out. But we went over and prioritized the focuses that the Alliance is going to potentially take on over the next year to 5 years. We talked about funding. We talked about a lot of big issues. So it was great, thoughtful conversation with that board. We do not have an Alliance meeting this month because we have the summit on the 11th. One of the best business conferences, I think, in Durango. It's at the casino on September 11th. If you haven't gotten your tickets, get your tickets and you should go. There you go. I met with Enrique and Beatrice as well, yesterday. Had some great, thoughtful conversations, and hopefully we'll hear more tonight.
Actually, Mayor, may I add one more? I had the privilege of moderating a conversation with Representative Katie Stewart, who's also in the audience today. So thanks for coming today, Katie. And then also Senator Cleve Simpson was there, and it was brought to you by the Chamber, which is Forums for Progress. And yeah, I was able to ask questions of economic importance within Durango, La Plata County and the surrounding region to our state policymakers. And yeah, really good conversation all around. We had some Q&A afterwards. So yeah, really good conversations.
Next item is public comment. If we could have the recording, please.
Public comment is encouraged on agenda items set for consideration and a vote by the council tonight. Public comments on items not set for consideration by the council come later in the meeting. Please begin your comments by stating the agenda items set for a vote you intend to speak on, your full name, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, unless modified by the council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to the item you identified when you began your comments. Profanity, hate speech, personally derogatory remarks, speech unrelated to the item you identified, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak.
We have 3 folks signed up under this section. The first is Kelly Von Stroh. Kelly Von Stroh.
Kelly Von Stroh. I am not a resident of this city. I am a city employee. I work at the Durango Public Library, and we also own property at 128 Sierra Vista in Three Springs. I'm here tonight to speak about my deep-seated feelings about our immigrant community. I say,
Wait, time out. It's not time for that yet.
This is only for public comment on items under consideration tonight on our agenda.
okay,
So your comment will come at what?
at new business.
13.
Item 13.
13.
My apologies. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Next up is Amanda Kissel.
So I'm a 20-year Durango resident. I'm the president and founder of local nonprofit and 501c3 nonprofit and Miss River Surfers. I am commenting on item 11.1 regarding a consideration for you guys directing the FAB to consider us. I sent you a big long-winded email. Thank you. And I will just go over the points briefly for the benefit of the community here this evening. So I'm happy to report that our fundraising efforts have yielded $10,000 to contribute to these efforts. I know, Kip, you had wanted to see half, so we're pleased to be making headway as regards that. We have also obtained 3 draft proposals from River Surf Wave engineering firms. They're not only expressions of interest and bona fides, but also it's got a lot of important information that will be helpful for city staff in their information gathering. So that's speeding things up as well. We also have engineers estimating the cost to be from $10,000 to $35,000. So I think $10,000 cash from us is more than half. So I'm happy to report that. Similarly, we've obtained a list of foundational data that is in the public domain, and it's somewhere in these buildings. And we furnished them to Parks and Rec Director Scott McLean so that he can deploy his resources to speedily obtain those, which would meaningfully reduce the cost of information gathering. So not only are we getting the information, we're making it cheaper to obtain a complete picture. And then I sent you guys a bunch of letters of support, and I'm really honored to have received those because it demonstrates the broad-based support in public and private sector. So we really appreciate a positive vote this evening. And we're ready. We've got a pile of people outside. We don't want to take up more of your time, but we are ready to be deployed as a volunteer partner for whatever efforts you guys deem fit to move forward for this. So we thank you for your consideration. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The other person signed up is Chris Cottrell. Perfect. I'll move you to item 13. There are no additional people signed up for public comment, Mayor.
Ready.
I can go ahead and read the consent agenda. 8.1 is approval of minutes. 8.1.1 is approval of the August 19th, 2025 City Council regular meeting minutes. 8.2 is final reading of ordinances. 8.2.1 is an ordinance authorizing a facility lease with Agile Space Industries, Incorporated, 820 Airport Road. 8.2.2 is final reading of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of sales and use tax revenue bonds, Series 2025, as approved by the voters at the April election. There are no items under adoption of resolutions, administrative items, or public hearings. 8.6 is introduction of ordinances. 8.6.1, an ordinance for text amendments to Chapter 27 of the Durango Municipal Code regarding updates to parking standards and other minor updates to enhance clarity. 8.6.2 is an ordinance adopting the liquor license rules of procedure, and there are no requests for excused absences.
Would anybody like to pull an agenda item?
Move.
None?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We get a vote?
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez, and Counselor Beal.
Yes.
There are no public hearings tonight. That brings us to item 11, resolutions. The first being a resolution directing the Financial Advisory Board to be presented the proposed river surf wave feasibility study and for them to consider that project as they make their recommendations for the 2026 park projects.
Move to approve a resolution directing the Financial Advisory Board to be presented the proposed river surf wave feasibility study and for them to consider that project as they make their recommendations for the 2026 parks project.
Second.
Can we get a vote?
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, okay. Some discussion.
Mayor, I just had one small question. Have we split the costs of feasibility studies? Have we done this before with any entities?
Not that I can think of right off the top of my head,
Okay.
but I don't believe so.
There might be a little bit of a learning curve here.
Mhm.
If that's the case, if they want to do, I just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
Yes, for me, it just kind of bolsters my resolve that this is a community that has got skin in the game, so we haven't really seen that in terms of from a fiscal standpoint from a lot of organizations that do want to do things. They come up with a recommendation, but not to this level. So, I mean, to me, it just kind of galvanizes my decision at this point.
Yeah, both the money as well as the enthusiasm from the crowd.
Shirley?
Thank you. And so I guess just sort of for the record, process-wise, as I'm still in a bit of a learning curve. So the idea is this item goes to the FAB board. The FAB board will then make a recommendation to support or not. Do the people also then go before the FAB board and make their presentation? Is that along with the data that they have created?
Yes, I can't speak exactly to how it would work, but the intent would be for them to be presenting since they're a partner with this and they're bringing funding with it. So it would be a presentation that would go to the FAB board and they would include that in their recommendation for the 2026 parks projects that they recommend to the city council.
And just so also at this point, all the request is just for a feasibility study. That's all, not for the entire project that will be determined at some future date.
Yeah, yes,
That's Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff's item.
They're right now, they're just looking to see what does this look like? What does the engineering look like? What are site, good sites that we could have this on? So there's a lot of pieces to move yet, but this is more of like the first step into, getting potentially this off the water, pun intended.
Yeah, right. Well, it's I'm very excited about the potential. I did have the opportunity to see and in Salida that there's something similar, and I think it looks like a lot of fun. So I'm very supportive and just wanted to understand how the process might work. So thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else? Ready?
Counselor Koso,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez.
Yes.
11.2 is an item that was tabled from the August 19th meeting, a resolution approving draft revisions to the Financial Advisory Board bylaws for consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution approving draft revisions to Financial Advisory Board bylaws for consideration.
Second.
Discussion? Could I offer a friendly amendment? Alrighty, I'd like to retain the name of the FAB board.
And then I just accept the friendly amendment. Accepted. Does that have to get seconded again? No, you're stuck with it. I get to change it.
Council, I continue to have reservations on moving forward with the FAB bylaws, since many of the FAB bylaws would institutionalize the Parks and Rec as well as open space oversight for the board. So I'm unsure if we're going to move forward with the subcommittee, but I continue to think that the bonds and the language within the bonds, most voter expectations, most of the past mayors for the city, and an awful lot of voters have an expectation that there's an existing Parks and Rec and Open Space Advisory Committee that is not just one or two members of the FAB. So I'll be voting no on this, and the chief reason behind that hesitation is we seem to be moving forward with institutionalizing these processes with the FAB board as it exists. And I think we need a separate committee in some way, shape, or form.
I'm just going to say my support for the FAB board and what they're wanting to do and increase community engagement. And from the beginning, when we consolidated some boards and commissions, it was always like, let's see what happens. Let's see how they do. I think they have the time and capacity to even do better than they have been. And I'd like to see how they go, what gaps they're missing. I think potentially in our budget retreat, we're going to see some different gaps that maybe aren't Parks and Rec Advisory Board gaps, that if we're going to reinstitute a board, it might look a different way for me. And so I'd like to support the FAB board going forward with this, and then see what happens in our budget retreat.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I have my name up. I'm going to vote in favor of this. And the reason is I've been meeting the last, every other week for the last couple months with them, and plus attending all the FAB meetings since it was implemented 2 years ago. And I've seen the structure change, and I've seen the boards make decisions that are leading to a better structure that's being evolved from being dismantled and then being put back together. And I think it's a good process. So I fully support this. And I do think that since we're going to have a study session on the Park and Rec subcommittee at 14.3, that'll also aid in our discussion. Yeah,
So the motion on the floor is approving the draft revisions to the Financial Advisory Board bylaws, but keeping the Financial Advisory Board name. Councillor Buell?
Yes.
Councillor Gonzalez?
Nope.
Councillor Koso?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff?
Yes.
And Mayor Yazzie.
yes.
Brings us to item 12.1, an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 13, Licenses and Business Regulations, Article 1, General Business Licenses, Section 13.2, License Required.
Mayor and council, staff is respectfully asking for this motion or for this item to be tabled to the next meeting. There's some items that we needed to put in presentation that we just didn't quite get ready into it. We want to make sure there's a full presentation on this.
I'll make a motion to table item 12.1.
Could we get some discussion? If none, let's vote.
Councillor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff?
Yes.
Councillor Buell?
Yes.
Councillor Koso?
Yes.
Brings us to item 12.2, an ordinance repealing in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Municipal Court, Article 1 in general, Section 15.6, failure to respond to summons or subpoena.
Mayor and council, this is a mandated repeal of our local ordinance, making it a misdemeanor to miss court. You heard a little bit about that earlier in the study session. So we're just making sure that we're in compliance with the new state law that prohibits these type of statutes.
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance repealing in pertinent part the Durango's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Municipal Court, Article 1 in general, Section 15-6, failure to respond to summons or subpoena.
Second.
Nope. Could we vote?
Mayor Yazzie?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff?
Yes.
Councillor Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Counselor Koso,
Yes.
Counselor Beal.
Yes.
And I can just add that although this is repealing that, it's repealing the status as a separate crime for missing court. Municipal warrants for missing court are still valid. It's just not an additional crime once you finally get into court. So there's still consequences to missing court is what I'm trying to include. Yeah.
That brings us to item 12.3, an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 24, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 4, Penalties and Procedures.
This was an amendment requested by Judge Margison. The state, when it took away the ability for us to make it a separate crime to miss court, they did give us the new ability to enter default judgments when people miss court on traffic fines. It used to be if you just didn't show up for court for a traffic fine, we couldn't do anything. And you saw in the presentation earlier, that's why I had a lot of stale cases that we had to dismiss when we went to the electronic system. But they gave us the ability to, or the judge the ability to enter default judgments when you don't come in for a traffic ticket. The original language that we put in there made it mandatory that he enter a default judgment. He would like the discretion to either enter a default judgment, or if he has a reason not to wait and do it or not do it at all. So this is just his request to give him some more discretion on whether or not he does actually enter a default judgment on a traffic case if someone doesn't appear.
I move to approve an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 24, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 4, Penalties and Procedures.
A second.
Ready discussion? Seeing none, could we get a vote?
Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Koso,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez.
Mayor, if I can make just one quick announcement
Yes.
as we're getting into public comment on city matters not under consideration tonight. If I could ask every staff member except Aaron, Bob, and Bryce, if y'all could go to a conference room and watch it online so that we could provide more seats for the public, I'd be really appreciative of that. Thank you.
So item. So before we do. So Mayor, then the next item is public comment.
Okay, I'd like to have Dave make a statement.
Thank you, Mayor. Just as a reminder to everyone that we need to keep public comments related to city matters. We consider all matters that relate to city business, but please understand that we have no control on federal matters. Please keep your comments on what you would like to see city council do and what we can do that directly impacts our local government. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have the
Public
recording?
comment is encouraged on city-related matters, even if they are not set for consideration by the council on tonight's agenda. Please begin your comments by stating your city-related topic, your full name, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person unless modified by council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to city matters. Profanity, hate speech, personally derogatory remarks, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak.
Madam Clerk, did the mayor request the total number of people signed up to speak? Count?
20, it looks like. Okay. The first person signed up to speak is Richard Reynolds.
Thank you, Richard Reynolds. I'm here to talk about safety on the Animas River Trail, and I'm a resident of Durango. For the past 6 months or so, Paula Lutz and I have been trying to address this issue with the City Council. We've met with all of you individually and a number of staff people. We're trying to urge you to take action on the 7 items that I've passed around. Paula was supposed to present this tonight, but I drew the short straw, so I'm here instead. I'd like you to take a minute to review these items, but first I want to relate to you something that occurred today on social media. Not today, but I saw it today. A woman made a statement, and this is a well-respected longtime resident. She says, Durango is great at kicking the can down the road. And this was her comment. So I'd like to take a look at these 7 items on the list. First one is policing non-compliant e-bikes and vehicles on the trail. Some effort has been made on this, but I have to tell you, in the past 2 weeks, I've seen 3 full-blown motorcycles on the trail. Not e-bikes, full-blown motorcycles. So I'd give you some effort on that one. The second one, speed limit of 15 miles an hour, really nothing on that, so I'm going to have to give you a nothing on that one. Unleashed dogs on the trail. A little bit effort on that. I've seen more of them off leash between the 5 and 8 time period than I have ever seen before. And I've lived here for quite a while. The dog parks, minimum of 2 additional small dog parks. Pretty much nothing on that. I'm going to have to give you a nothing on that. And it's kind of disappointing now that it's heading for a 5-year plan. We wanted something very minor, very cheap, very inexpensive, very easy to do, and doesn't seem like we're going that way. Solid yellow striping, number 5, nothing on that one. Number 6, permanent signage on the trail, nothing on that one. Code enforcement down the bottom on the ordinances for number 7. You're in the process of hiring an additional ranger for the trail, but haven't seen anything, so I'm giving you a nothing on that one. So in summary, out of the 7 things, you get 2 little bits, and you get 5 nothings. That sounds a lot like me like the cans going down the road. I'll be out of here in 48 seconds. So what about changing the public perception of City Council and of all of you in this process? I think it's time to do that. You had no problem last year when there was a trail that's been there for at least 30 years, because I've lived in that part of town for 30 years, got moved because the city councilor wanted it moved off their property. Got moved right away, and that wasn't on the 5-year plan, I can guarantee you. So I'd appreciate it, and a lot of other folks would too, if you would address these issues before something else happens bad. Steve Miller, the fellow who died, was my neighbor and my friend, and I've kind of committed to myself to try and do something about this, but we really need your help. Please do something before something else like that happens. How's that? 5 seconds. Thank you. All right. Thanks.
Next up is Kelly Von Stroh. Kelly Von Stroh, if she's outside. We'll come back if she comes in. Jay Conlon.
Good evening. My name is Jay Conlon. I'm a part-time faculty member at Fort Lewis College, a substitute teacher, and an active volunteer through the community. I'm here tonight to comment on the presence of ICE in our community. I'm against ICE and all the ways they terrorize communities across the nation, including this one. In recent weeks, I've witnessed ICE driving dangerously while breaking numerous traffic laws. I've witnessed them attempting to intercept families on their way to elementary school. I've witnessed masked men lurking in unmarked cars in our neighborhoods. I've witnessed DPD clear the road for ICE, and I've been told personally by Walter Stafer, a Homeland Security agent, that the only thing that matters is his testimony. No evidence, no warrants, no rules except the ones he makes. As leaders of this community, this should terrify and sicken you. These are not the tactics of due process, nor is this liberty and justice for all. This is unchecked terror perpetrated on our neighbors, people who deserve to live in peace without the constant threat of being kidnapped. I stand with the immigrant community, with my friends and neighbors, and I believe that diversity makes us better, not worse. So I ask, what will you do to help your neighbors? Inaction is siding with the oppressor. So I hope that you use your voices to speak out against injustice, that you use your power to help those more vulnerable, and that you choose compassion above all else.
Please, I'm going to call out of order if you guys continue to clap after each presentation. And if you keep using up time, people are not going to be able to talk. So please settle down. Okay, the next one.
Carolyn Hunter.
Good evening, City Councilors. I'm Carolyn Hunter, and I am speaking only as a resident since 1992. Immigration, I'd like to request that City Council make a proclamation requesting all law enforcement, including federal law enforcement, meaning ICE, be required to show their face, badge, and state their name when performing their official duties within city limits. Also, I'd like to ask if you can include how to handle an ICE raid information onto the city's website to educate local residents and business owners. This is a local issue because at least 25% of our construction workforce is undocumented immigrants. We need their skills to help us build affordable housing for our restaurants and nursing homes. These are all industries with current labor shortages. On the ADU item, this proposed study by city planners is critical because the law is only as good as the enforcement. City Council included this owner-occupied rule in their original ADU code due to comments from people like me who live next door to renters who did drug deals and held loud outdoor parties at 2 a.m. Our current code varies on minimum lot size requirements. South of College Drive, there is no minimum lot size. It would be good to study if other neighborhood minimum lot sizes could be reduced or eliminated while still meeting all the other setback and lot coverage requirements. Minimum wage. This was established to provide a fair wage to workers consistent between employers, but it has not kept pace with our skyrocketing rental costs. The proposed wage increases would be handled gradually over 3 years at 9% per year. While not achieving a true living wage, they will help our local businesses keep pace with each other to improve employee retention and their ability to get housing. In Denver and Boulder, minimum wage increases have been beneficial to employers. Sustainability fee. This proposed change is a fairer way to increase funding for these very important efforts. Thank you for your consideration of these matters.
Next up is Karen Pontius.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Karen Pontius. I live at 288 Animas View Drive in Durango. I'm a member of Durango Forward, the group that brought the effort to raise the minimum wage in the city before you. The first study session you held validated the business viewpoint that a raise would doom their businesses. Later, you held a study session featuring speakers that validated our viewpoint that Durango's essential workers would benefit greatly from any raise, and businesses would save money by retaining workers and not constantly retraining new ones. Edgewater, Denver, and Boulder counties have adopted a tiered approach to their raises, and none of these counties has suffered, as lots of data shows. They used a 3 or 5-step phase-in process to raise wages gradually. We're urging City Council to consider the same approach. Raising the minimum wage incrementally allows businesses and workers to plan and prepare for wage adjustments over time. Tiered increases are a common and proven approach to raising the minimum wage in the counties I mentioned. If we incrementally raise the wage by 9% a year, by 2028, minimum wage workers could look at earning over $37,000 a year. Of course, by then you'd need 50 a year to be, anyway. Right now, the poverty level for a family of 4 in Colorado is just over 32,000. We need to do this to keep everyone's head above water. Local governments aren't responsible for enforcing minimum wage laws, as the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment has that authority. This means raising the wage in Durango would not create any additional costs for the city. I have 162 signatures on this informal petition so far in support of Durango raising the minimum wage, and I'll get copies to you via email. So these are all everybody's signature. Number 2, many are asking City Council for 2 things to help meet sustainability goals. Elevate the authority of the Sustainability Department and increase funding of the Sustainability Department through adjusting the sustainability fee on our city utility bill to a percentage. I got time? All right. ICE raids are happening more and more. The latest person was run off the road in Bayfield by ICE agents. They are masked bounty hunters. They're endangering residents with their tactics. So I ask the council just to stay aware of these incidents, as there may soon be a role the city could play in protecting residents. Residents should use the Rapid Response Hotline to report suspected or known ICE activity, 844-864-8341. Thank you.
Next is Tweety Gibbons.
My name is Tweety Gibbons. I live at 288 Animas View Drive in Durango. And my topic is immigration. I'm very concerned about what's happening with deporting folks. And I basically had the same thing to say as Carolyn did, so I'll pass.
Next is Enrique Arzoca Perez.
Hey everyone, how are you? Thanks for having me. As mentioned, my name is Enrique Arturo Orozco Perez. I am the co-executive director of Compañeros Four Corners Immigrant Resource Center. I'm so proud to be here tonight with this packed room of people who support our immigrant community, who are demanding for a voice from our leadership. You know, when I received the email from Mayor Gilda Yazzie saying this was not a city matter, I felt like that statement really reflected a deep lack of empathy and care for a part of our community that lives and contributes every day to Durango. And let's be clear, when you say this isn't really a city matter, you're really saying that part of our community is not part of a city, and that's erasure. This is clearly a city matter. When immigrant workers are too afraid to show up to their shifts at our restaurants, hotels, construction sites, tourism suffers and our local economy suffers. That's a city matter. When our children are kept home losing their childhoods and education because their parents are terrified of ICE agents lurking outside their neighborhoods and even our courthouses, that impacts the whole city. That is a city matter. When families are traumatized and community members disappear overnight, the safety and cohesion of Durango are at stake, and that is a city matter. We know your authority over federal immigration enforcement is limited, but silence is not neutral. By saying nothing, by looking away, this council becomes complicit in advancing authoritarianism and even fascism. And if your silence is out of fear of losing federal funding, let me be clear. Our community does not have a price tag on it. No amount of money justifies ignoring injustice. We cannot allow silence to normalize abuse and unconstitutional behavior in our hometown. We have seen ICE circle our courthouses, detain community members, blocks away without a warrant. We have seen people stopped and detained under false pretenses of probable cause, which, let's be real, all that means is racial profiling. These are unconstitutional and legal tactics, and they're happening here in Durango. This is why we are asking for City Council to no longer remain silent. We are asking you to stand with us, to say clearly that Durango will not be a place where constitutional rights are trampled on. Where we won't accept a place where immigrants live in fear, and where city officials look away. We are asking you to commit publicly that this city will be a welcoming place for all who contribute it, and our immigrant community contributes every day to this town. I do want to thank Councilwoman Jessica Buell and Councilman Dave Woodruff for opening their hearts and their ears and reaching out to us to have a conversation. Thank you. And know this, we as our community are ready to pack this room for every single council meeting until we see real leadership step up and support its own community members, no matter their status in this country. And finally, to our immigrant community, just know we are here to fight alongside you and we will not give up, because el pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
Time's
Thank
up. Recess. 10-minute recess. Out of order. Yep. Recess.
5 minutes?
10. Okay, let's get ready. Can you hear me out of this?
Yeah, but I didn't.
Hello? Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's my timer. Yep.
There's more seats.
No, we can get rolling. Okay, everybody, let's just have, a nice conversation. Do this all you want, but just don't, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You do it again, another 10 minutes, you guys can be on timeout, because I'd like to get through this. There's a lot of people who want to talk. Okay, can we proceed?
Next up is L.E. Morris.
Hi, I am Ellie Morris. I am a resident of Durango. I want to first thank you for upholding the rule of law and allowing opportunity for public comment. I am requesting that the official city website post information on how to deter ICE raids. I'd like to offer some questions about our Constitution. Do you know if our Constitution uses the word people or citizens when referencing the protection within our borders? People, everyone inside of our borders is protected under our Constitution. Do you know how to make a private space within a public business? Put up a sign and a rope. Do you know why this matters in terms of ICE? In a private area, ICE is required to have a judicial warrant, not an administrative one. Do you know whose name is on a judicial warrant? One very specific person. Do you know how long a judicial warrant lasts? 1 day. Only the day that the judge signed it. And these matter in terms of ICE because in a private area, ICE has to have a judicial warrant. They often in public areas use administrative warrants and they can just randomly pick somebody, but they cannot do that in a private area. If you are at home and somebody knocks on your front door and you look through the people and you see they have badges and guns, do you have to open that door? No. You can ask them to put paperwork underneath and you can look and see if a judge has signed that paperwork. Our Constitution provides a lot of legal rights and legal ramifications, but most people don't know what they are. You, the City Council, can help inform our residents, our business owners, and our visitors on how they can, cannot, and what they don't have to act on. You can provide this information directly on the website, or you could have some links to summarize the information and then provide links. One of the more effective ways of keeping ICE in check is when a community has the knowledge of their rights and utilizes it. So, in keeping with tradition, I offer you a haiku. What's government's role? Safe, smooth, supportive living. Post facts, protect us. Thank you.
Next up is Scott Custer.
Good evening. I'm Scott Custer. I actually live in Bayfield, but I used to live in Durango. I work here. The people I care about are all in Durango. I just want to mention a couple things. I've been working with families for years here, and many of the families that I know and care about and love have been devastated by what's happening with ICE. It's destroying this community. I'll give an example. My daughter works at Park Elementary. The kids that come to her classroom are petrified and oftentimes miss class because they're worried about what's happening with ICE. The devastation, you can see it in the way these kids are in the classroom. They're petrified if they're going to go home to their parents. They don't know. What's happening with ICE, as was just mentioned, the way they're operating is completely illegal. And so nobody has a sense of what their rights mean anymore. The family I work with in Cortez, I was just talking to the mom last night. The father was picked up by ICE and deported almost immediately. He wasn't targeted. He wasn't in a warrant, even an administrative warrant. He wasn't in that warrant. He just happened to be nearby, and he was Hispanic, and it was complete racial profiling, and they picked him up and they got him out like that. She's left as a former nurse taking care of her disabled daughter and her other 2 kids with absolutely no way to earn a living because she has to work with the daughter full time. So what's happening here is terrorizing this community and the people who live here. And, you know, as a former history teacher, university down to middle school, you know, and my father-in-law, he lost his entire family in the Holocaust. This is not theoretical what's happening here anymore in terms of the destruction of our democracy and the destruction of our communities. It's happening now. And we need to stand up and not allow any collaboration with ICE in any form, whether it be stopping somebody who's tailing ICE so we can figure out what they're going to do and who they're going to harm next, or whether it be breaking up a traffic jam that ICE created to allow them to leave. We have to do everything we can to stop this because it's destroying our communities, it's destroying our families, and it's destroying our country. And if we collaborate, we are part of the system. We need to stop it. And then you guys can help us with that. Thank you.
Next is Bundy Gomar.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Gianna Bundy Gomar. I am originally from Uruapan, Michoacan, Mexico. I grew up in Mexico City, and I moved to the beautiful Durango, Colorado in 2001. And I just want to share with you all what it meant to arrive in Durango. I remember the first night that we were here, and I told my mom, can I go walk outside? This was the first time I was ever able to do that. Growing up in Mexico City, that wasn't an option. And honestly, at 12 years old, to be able to walk outside and see the stars meant so much. It was beautiful. And that's how Durango felt to me. It was a safe space. It was a space where I felt in community. It was a space where I felt supported and cared for. And now I'm going to skip forward to 2025. I have the privilege to work with youth in the community through a youth serving organization. I'll keep them out of it. But I get to see what kids are going through nowadays. And let me tell you, it's really, really hard. Being able to see the kids that are terrified of going to school because they don't know if they're going to come home to a parent or not. Terrified when they walk outside and they see a police officer and they don't know if it's an ICE officer or not. This is the reality that a lot of the youth in Durango, in this city, are going through on a day-to-day basis. I know that you all are limited in what you can do. Obviously, this is a federal issue, but what you can do is take a stance. And I think that's what everyone here is asking you all to do. Take a stance, do something about this, because united, we're much, much stronger. And I can tell you that for these families, for the youth in our community, like I was when I first moved here, it would mean the world to have the leaders in the community do something about it, or at least say something. I stand here and I just beg you all to just be conscious on what's going on. And so more kids that are coming here like I did will have the capacity to live a really beautiful life in Durango. Thank you.
Next is Emily Frogen.
Okay. Hi, my name is Emily Frogen, and I'm speaking as a resident of Durango. I'm here to comment on 3 issues. The first is the presence of ICE in our community, and I'm asking, as it relates to city matters, I'm asking council to, 1, make a proclamation requesting that all law enforcement, including federal law enforcement, be required to show their face, badge, and state their name when performing their official duties in the city of Durango. And 2, asking you all to include a how to handle ICE raid and ICE raid information on the city's website to educate local residents and business owners on this. Please take into account all the experts here commenting on ICE. They all know a lot and have a lot to share. The second thing I'm asking council to do is to increase the minimum wage. The Colorado minimum wage is projected to increase to $15.50 an hour. And I'm asking council to actually gradually increase that raise rather than doing it all at once and increase it up to $18 an hour by 2028. So also listen to the experts who are here to talk on that. Okay, third, which I do have expertise on, is the sustainability fee that is currently under new business tonight. Tonight, you will vote on whether or not to hold a public hearing on the sustainability fee change. And I urge you all to please vote yes on the public hearing. I'm sure that you are not sick of hearing me over and over again at these meetings, but having a public hearing will give you all the opportunity to hear from a lot more community members. Climate change and city sustainability affects all Durango citizens, many who do not have the time to wait hours until the non-agenda public comment to share their knowledge with council. So having a specifically sustainability fee and climate change community hearing will give those members an opportunity to share their voices with you. The community letter that we sent a month or 2 ago on the sustainability fee shows that over 77 individuals and businesses support changing the sustainability fee, and that will both increase the funding for the sustainability department and lower the average user's bill. So it's a great initiative, and getting more community input on it will be really useful. So please tonight vote in support of having a public hearing on the sustainability fee. Thank you.
Next is Beatrice Garcia.
My name is Beatriz Garcia. And when I stand before you today as a representative of those voices who have been silenced and kidnapped from our community, ICE agents have been intervening in our city in an alarming manner, violating our constitutional rights. They have been breaking windows, targeting people who appears to be Latino, people who looks just like me, and others with brown skin. These agents has been arriving at workplaces, at homes, without any probable cause, and without a judicial warrant. It has led to the separation, through deportation, and now more than 30 families in our community in the past 2 months, sadly, are without, they've been separated. At this time, there is more than 20 children in our city who has lost their parents to the deportation or detention. And at least 5 children are without any of those 2 parents. The hotline has been activated, and we have received multiple ICE reports to know all the arrests have been occurring in Durango, but the problem is not isolated. It is a crisis that affects all of us because it's people who works here, that's contributing to the taxes of this city, and is supporting the community in many other ways. I cannot speak. This is just a paper. I cannot speak. The only thing that I can say to you, the immigrants were humans. And we're here with all of them. We're here with all of them. What it feels to be an immigrant right now, it's just horrible. And I'm not here alone. There is a multiple people that came here today. They're volunteering, they're putting their front because it's the only way that we can get out of our houses. I'm afraid to speak. And I'm here today and I know the consequences that is here to speak today. And Mayor, never wish me luck. When you send me the response, the good luck with my issue, don't wish me luck. This is not about luck. This is go beyond that. So I appreciate everyone to listen today because every voice that is there, it means a family that is suffering today. Thank you.
Next is Rob and Wendy Javier.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Rob Javier. I've lived here in Durango since 2003, and I am a teacher with the Durango School District 9R.
My name's Wendy Alsbrook Javier. Thanks for your service. And I've been a resident of Durango for over 20 years, and I've been an educator in this community for over 20 years.
I wanted to speak because I was concerned for the safety of my students and their parents. Specifically, I'm concerned by the activities of ICE nationally and locally, and this is connected to what the City Council can do. I wanted to say that the right of due process, that if your rights are taken away by the government, there's a process that must be followed. This is enshrined in the 5th and the 14th Amendment. The right of due process belongs to each, quote, person in the United States, not just citizens. And there are Supreme Court cases that support this right, a right that is being broken every day, nationally and locally. My suggestion is that the City Council starts by making specific ordinances that designate schools, hospitals, courthouses, or similar public spaces as off limits to ICE agents. And while you're at it, maybe ICE not being given access to jails without warrants.
I'm not sure what we can do here. I know that there are a lot of options, but what I do know is that our immigrant community is us. There's no difference. And I think that it's really important, that it should be of critical importance for our city's business to figure out what we can do, what we need to do to protect our immigrants in our community. I think that what's happening here, the violence, the illegal kidnappings of people in our community is wrong. It's just wrong. And I refuse to believe that there's nothing we can do as a community to protect the immigrants here. And I refuse to believe that there's nothing that we can't do on our city council. So I ask that you put this at the forefront of critical issues here in our city. And that's what I would support as a citizen here in Durango.
Next is Chris Cottrell.
Oh, cool. Thank you. My name is Chris Cottrell. I've lived in Durango for 5 years. I have a very wonderful community here. My chosen family's here. I have no plans to ever leave. I moved here from Germany. I lived there for over a decade and I studied that country's history extensively. And if it's not already clear, I'm here also to talk about ICE. And I assure you that this is only the beginning. Fascism is kind of famous for not going away on its own. And similar to many other people who have spoken up here, to hear from our leaders, whether civil administrators or law enforcement, that there's just nothing they can do is unacceptable. I'm not sure how much worse things need to get. Fathers with their daughters in the back seat on their way to school are having their windows smashed in. Our government is run, our federal government's run by white supremacists, and that's not hyperbole. Earlier this week, ICE received permission to acquire the most powerful spyware in existence. So the danger is clear and present, and I implore you to do what you can. Please do more than you thought yourself capable of. I mean, this community, these people here are happy to brainstorm with you, happy to engage. I echo all of the ideas that have been put forward so far. More information on the website, specific ordinances, these are all brilliant, and let's do all those things and then not stop there. Let's never stop until this goes away. Also, do please vote yes on the public hearing on the sustainability fee. Thank you.
Next is Rebecca Favero. Rebecca Favero.
Hello. Yeah, I feel heartbroken with ICE, their presence coming back strong again. I remember 4 years ago when they were here strongly, and in that time was part of the rapid response team and experienced them really behaving like the mafia in a way. Refusing to give their names. Sometimes when I would take out a phone to record, they would flee. And to me, that's not the action of someone who's serving and protecting, but rather someone who's seeking to do harm. The immigrant community, on the other hand, are people who serve us here and one another in so many different ways. They are us. So many of us are immigrants from years ago or from now. And to see families being pulled apart in this way is heartbreaking. And I know it's federal, ICE is federal, but there are facets that the city can address, such as not collaborating with the police, having the police not collaborate with them. I know there's times in the past where that has happened. And so my request is that that's not allowed. Similarly, that the ICE can't be present outside the courthouse. That's not legal, and if the city here could prevent them from doing that, and that's another request. And I think just for the heart and the morale of the community, if the city could make a clear statement of care and concern and acknowledgement of what the immigrant community is going through here, that could create more people feeling like they have a home and are being honored here.
Next is Jason Harutinian. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Jerry Harutinian, and thank you for having us tonight to listen to the public speak and comment. I'm here to comment on immigration as well. Personally, I did come here to listen mostly tonight and learn about a lot of the things that are affecting the community. And this is, in fact, a very large community matter that is directly affecting all of us, regardless of race. And this should be on the agenda, in my opinion. If you're not aware of this at the moment, I'm here just to give a little bit of insight into how much this is affecting the community, both superficially and in many ways we can't see. There's a lot of people that can't be here to speak tonight. All I'm asking is that you don't work in silence. You guys have been trusted to speak and represent the public. Something that the community is asking is that you guys speak up for us and represent what Durango stands for. Durango is not a community that lives in fear and is silenced out here. So we ask the same of you. If you have an opinion on this matter, please share it with the community and do it without fear. and do it representing those that are affected by it most. It's not myself, it's loved ones that I'm very close to, and what that looks like for them is not feeling loved by the community or represented or welcome here, even though they are legally allowed to be here. But it's a mistrust in the government that's broken it so many times that gives them reason to mistrust it. How that manifests on a bigger level is not going to see loved ones in another country as they're on their deathbeds because they don't trust the government enough to be to travel and trust that they won't be allowed back in, even though they're legally allowed to. So this mistrust is infusing the community on a lot of levels, and simply asking you to have a voice on this and represent the community, represent Durango and represent those that aren't able to speak, not because of fear, but because they know the consequences and the potential consequences of even coming to these types of meetings tonight. And there's a lot of community members this is affecting. So thank you so much for listening. And we just ask that the decisions and your voice be used to reduce the suffering that is occurring because of the cause of what ICE is doing right now. And it's not based in good intentions, it's based in racism.
Next is Olivia DePablo.
Buenas noches, yo soy Olivia de Pablo y vivo en el 1 Este de la ciudad de Durango. My name is Olivia de Pablo and I live in 186th Avenue in the city limits of Durango. I am here today as a concerned community member, but I am here also as an immigrant. And I am here again thinking that we can start the dialogue. I am here today because in the past, 2004, also, we were here presenting a resolution that at that time the city council respected and acquired. I also want to be clear that I can only speak for myself, but I raise my voice because I see and feel the fear that so many immigrants, just like me, and families in our city are experiencing. We are broken. We are living in terror. The threat and the deportations and the rise of anti-immigrant sentiment have left many of our neighbors living in silence, voiceless, and in fear. Parents are afraid to send their children to school. Workers are afraid to show up at their jobs. Families are afraid to seek medical care. And some have been afraid to call a neighbor for any issues. This climate of fear does not only harm immigrants, it weakens the safety, trust, and well-being of our entire community. Deportations and intimidations tear families apart and destabilize neighborhoods. They make people less likely to report abuse or mistreatment, which only allows exploitation to grow. This is why it's so important for us to create strategies, to request you to create strategies, and to recognize the importance of these issues, and the fact that we are easy targets for the federal methods that we are witnessing across the country and now here in our backyard. We can never build healthy communities by witnessing and participating with our silence on this. It is also important to understand, at least for me, to participate that the voices of immigrants are diverse. No one organization and no single individual can represent us all. Yes, indeed, there are not a lot of immigrants here tonight. There's few of us. That's because we are completely living in terror. But make no mistake, I'm not here representing any organization. Okay, I'll hurry up. I also plead that we not allow ourselves to be divided by antagonism or rhetoric that closes doors and instead of opening dialogue. Fear and division will never move us forward. What we need is unity. Thank you.
Next is Caro Gomez.
Hello, my name is Carolina Gomez. I am also a immigrant. Sorry, I will keep talking even though I cry. I come to you as a vulnerable community member. I recently had to move away from my house because I live in a trailer park and ICE kept targeting me. It took many of my neighbors, and I used to walk with this one lady every day to the bus stop, and we had to cross the highway down by Upper East Side Coffee and Deli every day to go to work. And the one day that I was sick and couldn't go, she was detained, but I was spared. My brother has also been deported in this very city of Durango. I have been working in human services now since I was 18 years old, and I am now 23. I have served this community well and will continue to. I have the privilege of also working with the youth in this community, and a lot of those youth are also undocumented, and my biggest fear was not seeing them the very next day. I see myself in them, and we both share a lot of the same fears of being afraid to go outside, of being afraid to go to work and into town or to school or to hang out with our friends and to be active members in the community. I come to you and I ask for a public declaration declaring Durango as a sanctuary jurisdiction. I want there to be a buffer between these cities' agencies and federal agencies and the sharing of information and in the sharing of trust between our community members and this violent, hateful group called ICE. I understand the consequences of me and the risks that I am taking, as in standing here before you and telling you all that I am an immigrant and being in this town and being even more vulnerable than I already am. But I am proud to be an immigrant, and I am proud to live in the city of Durango. I have fostered such a beautiful community and life here, and the idea of having that ripped away from me with no due process, with no criminal record at all, and me serving this community faithfully for 8 years is absolutely horrifying, and let alone so beyond disrespectful. I will give my life to this community, and I hope in exchange it will give its life to me. Please look out for our neighbors. They mean so much to me. I miss my brother so much. He left behind 4 children, and the other day my neighbor was detained and left behind 5 children. Thank you.
We have 3 additional speakers that are online. The first of which is Tiffany Chacon.
Tiffany,
Hello.
you should be able to speak now.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. Hello and good evening to our mayor and our city council members. Thank you so much for giving me this time, and I won't be as long because everybody has said such powerful things already. As you know, I'm not a City of Durango resident, but I do call the City of Durango my home, my kids' home. I'm blessed that my children are citizens, that their father is a citizen, and yet my children are still fearing something could happen.
Tiffany, are you still there? All righty, we'll put her on the end if she wants to compose herself and come back. So can we continue to the next one?
Okay, next is Lisa Ray.
I am having difficulty finding Lisa Ray in our attendees panel.
Next after that would be Kelly Von Stroh.
I have a Kelly, but I'm unsure if it is the correct person because the last name is not listed. Are we okay with allowing this person to attempt to give public comment? Okay. I have unmuted a Kelly in the audience.
Okay, can we circle back to Tiffany?
Tiffany, if you feel that you can finish your public comment, you can do so now.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much. I assume you're hearing me. I see the timer starting. Thank you. I just want to say I agree with everything that has already been brought up. There's a lot of fear that's going on in our community, fear that's not needed, fear that no one should be going through. And Durango has been a leader in the past in supporting our immigrant community. We just heard earlier, Jose, congratulations on your recognition as one of the greatest leaders in our nation right now for city manager. Here's another opportunity for us to really step forward and be a leader for our community and to show that we will not allow this fear to be here. So I'm asking you, please take into those considerations, come forward and put a stand on what Durango stands for. And that's for love, that's for compassion, that's for a beautiful community where people want to be, where people are accepted, where people are celebrated. Thank you so much for your time.
So if we circle back, either Lisa Ray or Kelly Von Stroh online.
Justin, if you can unmute Kelly, the one that you sent in your message, would you do so, please?
Looks like I'm only able to request as presenter. Is that the right thing to press, Evan?
Yes, and then we can depromote them after they're done speaking. That'd be fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Kelly, if you are able to, would you please unmute and begin your public comment? Unfortunately, Mayor, I don't know that we are able to get these last two finished.
Righty, then hopefully they can give us a call. Okay, so let's move on.
Mayor, I have something in regards just to the public comment that we all just heard, if council wouldn't mind. I have new business later, but this is about the public comment.
So there are 4 other people that signed up after we called the item. So I don't know if you want to allow them to speak or not. They are all listed in person, yes.
Yeah.
So the first of those four would be Rachel Boyle.
So if they just recorded that as a acclamation motion to suspend the rules and allow people to speak after without signing up.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. I am Rachel Boyle. I live just outside of Durango city limits, and I am a teacher in Durango. And what I've witnessed my students and their families experience over the last several months has been heartbreaking and infuriating. I've watched 6-year-olds afraid to come to school, afraid to get off the bus and walk into their homes because of fear of immigration enforcement. Young children worried that they're not going to see their parents at the end of the school day. And children can't learn in that state. You say that federal immigration enforcement is not a city issue, but I'm curious about a couple other things. Is the breaking of traffic and state laws a city issue? Is our workforce being kidnapped by masked men on the street a city issue? Is our workforce being too scared to go to work a city issue? Are children being too scared to go to school a city issue? Are unknown masked men parked outside our schools in dark cars as children walk to school a city issue? Are constitutional rights and human rights violations a city issue? Is the safety of our residents a city issue? Is the fear of residents that Durango Police Department could be collaborating with ICE in clear violation of state law a city issue? These are absolutely city issues. They're all happening here in Durango, and most importantly, they are the moral issues of our time. When you say this is not a city issue, we hear that you don't think immigrants are a part of our city. But all of us who have stood before you tonight know something different. Immigrants are parents, workers, children, college students, and beloved members of this city. You were elected to be the leaders of our city, so lead the way on making Durango safe, inclusive, and just for all of our residents and community members, regardless of immigration status. Take a stand, uphold Colorado law, build trust in our city officials and local law enforcement, enact policies to protect vulnerable people and places in our city. You may not have power over federal immigration agencies, but neither do you have a responsibility to them. Your responsibility is to this city, so stand up for the people of this city and take a stand against ICE operating dangerously and unconstitutionally in Durango. Immigrants belong in Durango, and a Durango without immigrants is not a Durango I am willing to accept. Thank you.
Next is Jamie Wanzik. Next would be Candace Cunningham.
Hello, my name is Candace Cunningham. I've lived in the city of Durango for 3 years. I would like to request that City Council call on Durango Police Department to hold a public forum to discuss with the community regarding how they will and will not work with ICE, as well as the recent incidents where DPD was coincidentally present and seemingly aiding in ICE activity. It is their duty to adhere to Colorado statutes and be accountable to the community they serve. Many in the community are not feeling supported or protected by local law enforcement. It is DPD's responsibility to address our concerns and work with us to keep our neighbors safe from an agency using violence and threats of violence to create fear in the community. Thank you.
And the last person signed up is Toffee Webb.
Hey, my name is Toffee Webb. I use they and she pronouns. I have been a community educator, advocate, and resident of Durango for, gosh, the last 7 years. I do talk quick, so I hope to take up not too much time. So many experts have said so many wonderful things not wonderful things, truly abysmal, awful, alienating, horrifying, dehumanizing things that I really hope I would like to see the City Council take and internalize and move forward with it and expand upon those ideas. Expand upon how our systems that y'all are directly fingers in the pie, how your systems are designed and can they actually protect people, say, when trans people are treated like how ICE treats immigrants, right? We're second on the chopping block according to some, heck, first even. It's going to happen to everyone. It's going to happen to any minority community. I'm disabled and I am trans. I got an X on my ID. When they start rounding people up, I will be there. And I want you all, as the protectors of our, well, I will say as the legislators that we have chosen, you do have, I think, a duty to internalize that and consider what might be legal, but what is immoral fundamentally, and what legality can lead to. What happens when it's legal? What have we done? What infrastructure do we have? What have y'all put into place that will actually hold up? Because we can talk about sanctuaries, we can talk about law, we can talk about all that. And I recognize that y'all's hands are bound by the power that you wield. I get that. But please, please wield it. And I want you to figure it out. I don't know what you're going to do. Jose, Jessica, Shirley, Gilda, Dave, Kip, Mark, I'm sorry, Faye, I missed you. I don't know what you're going to do. But God, gods, deities, spirits, ancestors, anything, I want you to do something so that I'm not afraid to tell my friends to come visit. So that when I flew back from Denver, I wasn't afraid that when I got here, some TSA guy was going to get lippy about my ID. I don't honestly know what's within your power. Maybe you should tell us. What resources do you give out? What partnerships are you pursuing, actively pursuing, engaging with? That is agency, and we are asking you to use what agency you have. Thank you.
That is the end of the public comment.
Can I ask just in reference to what we just heard tonight, that we take this portion of the meeting that includes all of the public comments regarding immigration and federal agents' behavior to our federal delegation, the Colorado Attorney General's office, and congressional representatives who are charged with making change to immigration and federal officers' behaviors?
Second? Yeah, second.
No vote? Oh, and a vote, yes. So I was like, wait, what?
So you got a second?
Yes.
Councilor Woodruff. You can do an acclamation vote, you can do roll call vote, you can take comment, whatever you want to do, Chair.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie.
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez.
So I support this motion. Can I ask a question?
We're voting.
Can we have a discussion?
That was before.
Yeah, before the vote.
I didn't have I needed a second and then an opportunity to comment. I mean, I'm fully supportive. My answer is yes.
Okay, so the next
Thank
vote?
you, Mayor.
Councilor Buell.
Yes.
Councilor Koso.
Yes.
Okay, so we're on to 14.
So it moves us to 14.1, other new business. Public hearing on potential modifications to the sustainability fee rate submitted by Councilor Koso.
Mayor, could we have 2 minutes just to let the room clear and before we move forward?
Recess. 2 minutes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Where'd you want yours? Just after. Okay, then you're going to be good.
Thank you. Good to see you.
There it goes.
Thank you.
Jose, do you want to let the rest of the staff in or do they go home?
Okay.
Okay.
Looking and I can see that Jamie's here. I think that's the only one we have for these items.
Okay, we're good. Okay, call back to order.
Again, we're on 14.1, public hearing on potential modifications to the sustainability fee rate submitted by Councilor Koso.
So council, I'd like to move that we have a public hearing on potential modifications to the sustainability fee rate. I will not reiterate what was mentioned multiple times during our public discussion, except to add that a revision of the $2.30 month sustainability fee to a 1.5% fee also improves equitability in billing by charging higher use customers more and low use customers less. And so if you are a golf course, should you be paying the same as a single residence with zero scaping?
Alrighty, so that's your motion?
It is, with a little bit of commentary on the end. Sorry about that.
Because we're going to do limited
Second.
discussion. Okay, second. Is there any discussion?
All right, just a couple questions. Why a public hearing over like a study session and this is also for like all of us, not just you, because I feel like there's been some like resolutions and not you, that like, I'm like, I want a study session. I don't want a public hearing does that make sense? Like,
sure. Yeah,
and,
it does.
and again, like there's an other, study session versus why a public hearing.
Yep. So one of the key things that happened is probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, I reviewed materials that our attorney had sent as orientation for new counselors. In doing that, I got a much clearer understanding of the rules and requirements under a study session, which don't allow community input. It's just an interaction between staff and the council. Public hearing allows for community input. And in items like the sustainability fee and a few others, I'll be proposing other public hearings to come. I think it is best served by having both community members, staff, and council able to have a discussion with no decision being made at the meeting, which is the definition of a public hearing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Jose, a question for you. Are we talking about, because with the sustainability fee, the things that come into my head are the farm to table composting fee proposal thing that came forward to us, and like, does that fit in somewhere? And how does it look? Are we getting any of this in the budget?
That's a good question. So I think for this item, and I see Mark's giving me the death stare,
Sorry,
so I'm going to try to answer this. I'm just kidding, Mark, but
not the death stare.
If I'm going to support it or not, because I might want to wait until after the budget to do something like this. That's my only.
The compost decision, if I remember absolutely correctly, was put off until after there was a decision on the stormwater drainage fee, which we still haven't gotten a decision on. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So that's my concern right now, is not stormwater composting that we got. I think that was before you guys came on council, sustainability fee. And then we have, I'm sure everyone's heard, some other big issues that we're going to have to talk about in terms of water and sewer. And I'd like to get a bigger picture before I have all the information. It's not that I don't support it, Emily and everybody.
The only thing I would add is that you're absolutely right about public hearings, but anytime you're talking about any type of fee arrangement, there are Tabor implications that would need to be commented on by legal.
Yeah. Okay, those are my comments. Sorry,
Maybe I also we need a point of clarification, Mark, to help me understand. So public hearing, just like the format, it would be a presentation potentially by staff or by whomever else within the community, the allowance of public comment. And then is there limited discussion on the dais, no interaction between us and constituents? Am I correct in that?
No, the public hearing is a tool for you to interact specifically with the public when there is no vote to be considered. So it's a tool that is required in some parts of the state law for the administration to hold public hearings on certain land items, but it also serves as a tool under our charter for you guys to interact with the public when there's no vote pending. It's an opportunity for you to get additional input beyond the 3 minutes in a traditional public meeting setting.
I see.
But you wouldn't make any decisions.
Right.
And I would be encouraging you not to commit to any position at a public meeting, because then you're kind of violating the spirit of the whole public meeting without a vote.
Kind of my follow up to that, would that kind of take place in a normal study session time? Or would that be like a special meeting kind of, I guess that would probably be up.
Council initiated public hearing is a council initiated public hearing, and you can run it however you choose.
I see. Thank you.
Ask staff to be there and give you input and support. Conceptually, you could do a public hearing without any of the staff present if you chose to.
Okay.
And just advise it, but you could.
Just as a follow-up, Councilor Buell, the lack of a decision there and just information is why I think this is not prioritizing something in front of something else. It's just a gathering of information.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense. I didn't.
Sure.
I thought because the public hearings we typically have are because we're making a decision on something, and so sorry, I totally.
You're fine.
Had that off.
Okay. It's a tool that
and we can do it whenever we want.
You have to get 3 votes, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I just meant before the budget, if I want the information for the budget. Does that make sense? Okay. So we can do it before the budget.
You what? You were mumbling. I can't hear.
Is there any more discussion on this?
If I could just get clarity on a motion, because I need a date or at least a range of when you expect it to be on. Otherwise, it just kind of floats out there.
There was some hesitation on my part to say the date because we've set the calendar of we've got impacts on study sessions. So I didn't necessarily want to set a date myself. I'm open to a suggested date. Definitely want to move things forward, but
I think at this one, this is going to be, if I'm reading this correctly, in the intent at the pleasure of the council, because it's not really staff driven. It sounds that it's just to listen to citizens that have a suggestion on the sustainability fee. So it's really up to council to say, place it on a city council public hearing or special meeting on this date. So this really lies with the council.
Please let me push back for a sec. My expectation was that we'd be hearing from Marty Poole and sustainability team on some of these issues. I think they do play a role in some of the conversation.
What was it that you're looking from staff's perspective?
The impact of the change to the sustainability fee. I view Marty and his team as the content experts on what impact that might make on budget, what that might make on staffing, what can occur with that increase in budget and staffing.
So then I'll ask specifically, what is that fee change that you're looking for? Because I know there's been a lot. There's been some increasing, there's been a sliding scale, and since it hasn't really been developed from us, to get clarity on what's that proposal that you want staff to bring to you.
Finance there too, like maybe a couple of different options to see what it looked like, so that way staff can appropriately, in my estimation, answer like if it was a 1.5% or whatever else, and then that way finance could be present, sustainability be present, and then we have conversations around what that fee increase would look like for those largest and smallest users, and then Marty could say like where that money could go and where it could be best impacted.
Me personally, I thought the $2.30 a month sustainability fee to a 1.5% fee was the specificity that you're asking for.
Okay.
That was what my intention was in the inclusion of this, and vetted by the 18 organizations and 58 individuals that had also leaned in on the topic. So I don't know if you're asking for a modification to that or.
No, sir. I was just saying, in terms of what Jose is looking for is direction from us about who do we want there to be able to provide input beyond the public facing piece of the input, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure the council always delineates who's the appropriate staff people to be there. Marty makes a lot of sense and finance perhaps but
all I need to know is just what you're expecting from staff. And
Okay.
I think I've got it. It's a presentation on the impact of going from a flat fee to 1.5%.
Correct. Operational impacts, yeah.
Okay, so my only concern is that the staff just gives hard information and does not answer questions from the public.
That was going to be my concern too, now that you've explained it, is that what's the role of the public at this? Because typically what happened is you would get briefed by the administration, you would come forward with an action, that action would then get a first, a second, and then you would have public comment on it. So having a public meeting before that's been fully developed for the public to comment on can get very confusing and get you guys in trouble for acting without noticing a vote.
Yeah, my apologies. I think all I was looking for was staff presentation and public presentation and then discussion between council with each of those entities at the presentation, not across with staff and public
All right,
conversation.
excuse me. So you mean just like we did with the minimum wage where we had one half and then we had the other half?
No, I mean, at the same public hearing, we're seeing a presentation from concerned nonprofit organizations and experts on sustainability, on the sustainability fee. And then also we're getting input from staff on the impact that changing the fee would make on city operations.
Gilda, am I hearing that you're concerned with the interaction between public and staff?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe there's some safeguards there that we could maybe put in place that, staff gives a presentation, they're not going to answer questions from the public, but we would be the ones that kind of ask the questions.
Sounds like a great way to put some training wheels on our public hearing. Sure, that's fine.
And just
How do you feel about that?
Look, it's your council and you guys can do what you want, but I can
wanna make sure
I can see a lot of problems because you're putting the staff in an incredibly difficult position of having to, there's no action. I mean, is there an action or not? I mean, is there going to be a proposal to change the fee? And if there is, that needs to come in the form of proposed legislation before you take public comment.
Yeah, but before I decide to change the fee or not, I need to know the impacts.
Right, and that usually happens in a study session. And if you want input from the public, that usually comes later. What happens if the staff responds to the public without direction from the council? That's where the big problem is.
How about this, Kip, at a study session that day, can Marty present on this particular proposal and then we have a public hearing during the council meeting? And so staff isn't here.
I mean, normally what you do is you'd have a presentation, then at the meeting, you would then introduce legislation and have a public hearing.
Then, yeah, that's why I was confused.
It's kind of like well, I don't want to use a bad analogy, but it is problematic in the government process to have public input before you have a fully developed and action or legislation. It's not the public's job to help you develop legislation. It's your job.
That's crazy. That is removing content expertise that is found in the community from the equation and the decision.
Expertise is different than a public hearing. You can have someone who's an expert in content come present alongside with the administration, but to have a hearing that's just open to all of the public, you're putting the cart before the horse. It is your job as a legislative body representing the people to bring forward meaningful legislation that you believe you were elected to bring forward, and then have a public debate about it.
But council, I'd be happy to modify this so that it's nonprofit organizations that are presenting at the public hearing, if we wanted to put that restriction on it.
Okay, so what about, we follow our normal procedure while we put this on agenda, have the research done by the staff at a presentation at the council or a study session, and then we discuss it, and then we move forward with either a resolution or some type of solution, just like normal procedure.
Mayor, because it's been done that way for over and over again, I'm not sure I agree that it needs to be done again, but my priority here is getting the sustainability fee in front of council. So if that's the route we need to take, I'm fine to modify my motion.
I'm I'm interested to see how this plays out because this is a lever that we have not pulled before. And but I understand Mark's concerns. And Mark, is there a way to just create some safeguards to minimize any sort of liability? Because I hear you, but I think Kip is absolutely right. I think this is a lever that we can pull that allows more honest and authentic engagement. And so I think we should try it.
I agree. We'll just have to be real careful the first time we do it.
Sure. I avoid talking about abortion and politics all kinds of times in the conversations. I can do the same avoidance.
And one of the problems that I think that you're going to find is you open these things with public, the public's going to be asking you to make commitments to something when there's no legislation on the table. And that's the public that's that meeting, but it disadvantages the larger public. Maybe not, and I'll certainly be there to where if the public's trying to get you to commit to mission, commit to a position, I'll remind the room that this isn't the forum to do that, and you guys need to wait until it becomes a formal motion. And yeah. So I can certainly help with that, and I'm happy to do it.
I wouldn't have a meeting without it.
True.
So what are we doing?
Well,
I've still got.
I'm so confused.
I still have a motion
we
for
still
a public
do.
hearing on this topic.
Okay, but staff isn't going to
Interact with the public.
interact with the public in some regard. We'll figure it out, and then.
I'm happy to let the mayor choose how the format is as well.
Cool.
I mean, we can see how that goes.
But you do want a staff presentation on going from the flat fee to a 1.5%.
I think it's,
Yeah, I think that's important.
Okay, that's the part that you wanted. Okay. Just trying to figure out the purpose. If it's like the community driving, here's what they think, and then you finding something from there to have staff go research, or staff research, do this, and then the community just responds to that.
I believe this has been defined enough that staff can pivot off of it as well as get the feedback from the nonprofit organizations. And no decision is being made at that time. Then we can continue it on at that point, deciding whenever.
Mark, we can't limit to nonprofits only for a public hearing, right? We have to, if it's a public hearing, it's a public hearing.
To invite a particular organization to present at the study session, you can.
If it's a public hearing,
Public hearing, you can't limit it.
right?
That's where some of the concerns come in. Let's say that an anti-tax advocate comes in and decides they want to give a speech about how all fees are evil and that can happen, and you can't rein it in. And I can't give you legal advice about it in that form.
They got 3 minutes like anybody else, though.
It's your public hearing. You can do 3 minutes, you can do 5 minutes. I mean, that's the thing. When you do a public
We're not
hearing.
letting Kip decide the time limits here, okay? This huge talks.
Fair.
I'm
Fair.
just kidding, I'm kidding.
20 minutes.
We'll be here all night.
And looking with first council meeting in October,
When's the budget retreat?
14th.
October 14th.
Yes, that's fine.
Sure.
Oh, I mean, that's your thing, but.
As
I
a
just
date
wanna
to,
put it
okay.
October 1st.
All right, so we have direction, right, Jose?
Vote. We have
Yes,
to vote,
public
though.
hearing, first meeting of October.
Okay, so we're ready to vote. Could we get a roll call?
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Buell.
Yes.
Brings us to 14.2, study session on additional dwelling unit regulations adherence, including current enforcement protocols, alternatives for stricter enforcement, and options to include grandfather units in the regulations.
Council, I'd like to make a motion to hold a study session on additional dwelling unit regulations adherence, including current enforcement protocols, alternatives for stricter enforcement, and options to include grandfathered units in regulations.
Can I ask you some questions?
Yes. Discussion?
Can I ask you, what is your intention with this, I guess, because I feel this is a slippery slope, and I get nervous when counselors may be putting things out there because personal.
Because I have ADUs next to me?
Yes.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah,
Fair point.
yeah.
I live on the south side. ADUs are a major part of the neighborhoods that I'm in. So not only do I live near them, but I'm hearing a lot of comments from the residents who are also dealing with the ADU issues. I don't necessarily have a huge problem with the minimums. What I do have a problem with is that 500 and some odd lots will come available for ADUs. And in 2014, when we allowed ADUs expansion, we had several criteria around enforcement, owner occupancy, and the affidavit signing that needed to happen every 2 years. I don't believe and I don't know for a fact if this is true, but I don't believe we followed through on those enforcement mechanisms. So what I've seen personally and what I hear a lot, in fact, one of our constituents gave me a map that I've got in front of me who's got 7 ADUs around her, and she's concerned that these ADUs have not been following the rules that were established in 2014. So we've got a lot of at least anecdotal conversation around the fact that these ADUs, they had an owner occupied, owner moved out, both of the main house and the ADU are now out for rentals. Plus the fact we've got some grandfathered units before 2014 that have no requirements for upkeep and are often in very, very poor condition. So because they were grandfathered in, nobody's taking care of these ADUs. And so I've got enforcement concerns more than anything else before we allow a flood of new opportunities for ADUs to be built.
Jessica.
I can keep going if you want me to, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, just again, the only thing from a staff perspective is Jamie placed in her memo what the time constraints were. And then so going forward, just knowing where's the expected date frame that you would like the presentation to be done.
Yeah, you and I had a little bit of a conversation around this. I'm not sure that I agree that 50 hours of work needs 3.5 months to be completed, but I got to respect that Jamie knows her department and understands what the capacities are. So, I mean, I'll have to wait for that timeline if council agrees to it.
And maybe will the CDC go and review the ADU? Is that September 22nd? 29th. So so CDC will, right? CDC, yeah, Community Development Commission will look at that ADU minimum lot size requirements issue and then provide a recommendation to council on the 29th. Is that correct? They will talk through it and give a recommendation to council.
On enforcement and like
No, it was just minimum lot size requirements. So I made the resolution, and then we moved to kick that down to the CDC, and then we'll wait for them to come with a response to council for I don't know why I can't think of the word, and a recommendation. Oh, it's really hard.
Good job.
Yep.
But the recommendation will be specific to minimum lot sizes. My issue is far more about have we been enforcing what we're supposed to be enforcing, and are they there? And I just don't know. Jamie may come back and everybody's fine, and that was a waste of everybody's time. I would apologize at that point, but my suspicion is that we've dropped off owner occupancy and we've dropped off affidavits.
All righty, so you just wanted for current enforcement mainly. Now I'm wondering if we could also add the topic of deed restrictions to adding these accessory dwelling units to the property, because I can see where the owner is going to go ahead and advertise this as income property, and everybody's value in that neighborhood is going to shoot up. You know, there's going to be impact there. Then also, if they're willing to put a new dwelling on their property, I think they should be willing to provide parking on that same property. I mean, those are the things I'm looking at, and also higher fees for these units and make them pay for the infrastructure there. Those are the things I would like to see.
Yeah, Mayor, I have my request. That's starting to expand the scope considerably, and I'm not sure I want to go there, but I think you've got some legit points.
Okay, so it's probably a topic that we do need to look at maybe long term, because there's a lot in this that needs to be vetted out and looked at. So probably starting at this small level would be a good start, in not looking for any solutions immediately, but looking long term how we can correct this these situations.
And what two situations do we have? I mean, I think that's the key thing. Yeah, that's part of this is just fact finding how many owner occupied units are there.
Okay, I'd vote for that.
If it's 1% or is it 70%? I don't know.
But I really think if we had deed restrictions and requiring them to put parking on their property, we might have a change of heart in the population.
So you guys have a motion and a second on the floor to do a study session on the topic that Councilor Koso has suggested. Just a reminder of where you're at.
Could we have a vote?
Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Councilor Beal,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Yes.
So do we need a date, Jose?
You know what? He said he was good with the 3.5 months that Jamie was up.
Okay.
Brings us to 14.3, a study session for a Parks and Rec subcommittee to the Financial Advisory Board.
So we continue on the discussion of a dedicated committee focused on Parks and Rec and open space. I do believe this subcommittee idea is somewhat of a happy compromise between the folks who don't want any changes to the FAB and the many voices who have talked about a dedicated.
So do we need a motion first before we get into discussion?
Gosh, I was on a roll.
I know. I'm so sorry, Kip.
My apologies.
Yeah.
I'd like to move for a study session for a Parks and Rec subcommittee to the Financial Advisory Board. Council discussion only.
Second.
Ready? Discussion?
I don't know if it was really worth it. We've heard the points before. I won't overlabor it, but I do think this is a happy compromise to see what the viability and the establishment of the subcommittee might look like in an inter-council discussion.
I'm just going to tell, like in this forum, I'll just tell you, I'm not opposed to necessarily a subcommittee. I do want to get through our budget because I have a feeling my recommendation is going to be for a different subcommittee after our budget retreat and where we find out we have bigger issues than Parks and Rec. And to be honest, and so I'm not saying no, but I'm saying no right now, if that makes sense. I want to get through the budget and I want to see what the FAB board is going to do with their new rules. But that's why I'm saying no. It's not necessarily, I do agree that this is a great compromise. I just want to wait a sec. And
you find any merit in the idea that there is no subcommittee structure right now. And so even going through the process, I think it's going to take a while. So if you think that there's an eventual subcommittee, even if it's not Parks and Rec, it may be worthwhile.
Well, but I also want to see where the FAB board deficits are, if and what, and talking to a few of them that I have, my concern of a different one is I think they also echo that concern that I have, and they might be supportive of a subcommittee for this, and then we'll go from there.
Very mysterious.
I know, I'm very mysterious.
Well, there you go.
I'm wearing my black cloak.
Any other points? All righty, could we get it?
Sorry again, the guy, because you know what I'm going to ask? Time frame. Because right now I've got this handy dandy study session draft calendar. We are booked until December, but if there's something that you see you would rather have this before that, it's at your pleasure, but that's just the last part that I would need to know if it proves, just so that I have it on my notes.
Sorry, I'm looking.
I'll take your time, no worries.
I'm open to suggestions, Council.
December 2nd.
Yeah. It just feels like we're going to be making decisions on the bond money without. Yeah. Let's do December 2nd.
So the bond money.
The guiding principle on this is that the bond language has that a Parks and Rec and dedicated Parks and Rec and open space committee would be allocating money.
The bond language is not Parks and Rec. Half cent goes to Parks and Rec. The bond side of it is city facilities.
Sorry. It's a late council meeting.
Sure. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
No, you're right. Yeah. Good catch.
Okay. So could we get a vote?
Councilor Buell,
No.
Councilor Gonzalez, Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Brings us to 14.4, a study session on the processes for boards and commission appointments covering the interview process and information sharing between counselors.
Council, I'd like to move that we have a study session on processes for boards and commission appointments covering the interview process and information sharing between counselors. I'll keep it really, I'll keep it really short, Council. This is just a cleanup of the process that we go through on the committee side of things. I've illustrated the changes that I'd like to make, including ensuring that the files have the same naming process, that all of the materials are received in the same email, as well as, sorry, hang on. A short synopsis of findings for each committee so that when we're not on the committee, we can understand why the people who were chosen were chosen. And I would also add that we require only an application and a letter. Resumes are optional. I haven't found the resumes to be as beneficial. So it's just a small cleanup so that this can be easily understood by any council members that aren't on the interview committee. As part of that conversation too, I would like to just have some conversation on the merits of having all of council on the CDC interviews as well as the FAB, because I believe those two boards have an extra level of importance.
When is the next appointment? Won't be until like May?
Till May 31st.
Is it okay with you for this guy over here if we do it in like January, like so we can push it back a little bit?
Completely, but it is council only. I don't think there's any staff prep really. So as well, wherever we at it,
he has to like,
sure,
know what to.
I have no problem.
I just want to make sure that was fine in the discussion. Okay, cool.
Okay, so that's going to come after the new year sometime.
Sure. If it passes.
Did we get a second?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Could we get a vote?
Councilor Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Mayor Yazzie.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff.
Yes.
Councilor Beal.
Yes.
Councilor
Sorry.
Costo.
Yes.
Did you just tell me to say yes?
Like you had that holstered.
Yes, yes. No, I know. I'm just kidding. I have a new agenda item that I'd like to present.
I do as well.
Please. Okay, great. You've already had 4, so I'm going to go first. I'm just kidding. So I'm going to, after my meeting with Enrique and Beatrice yesterday, they've requested a few things and with their expertise and me wanting to work together with them. And so I would like to add a new business item for the next council meeting, obviously, because that's the procedure. This item is to propose a revised resolution that reaffirms our city's commitment to every member of the Durango community. It's a resolution that builds upon 2 prior resolutions because we've had 2 resolutions already passed by previous councils. So it's kind of like a reaffirmation and kind of a cleanup because one of the resolutions is a little outdated. Continuing our tradition of supporting all who call Durango home. In 2004, Council adopted Resolution R-2004-40, recognized that Durango has always been a home for immigrants who have contributed to our city's cultural richness and diversity. That resolution declared that Durango would remain a place where all people are treated with equal respect and dignity, regardless of immigration status, and affirmed that municipal resources would not be used to identify, apprehend, or deport non-citizens on the sole basis of their immigration status. Then in 2015, Council adopted Resolution R-2015-32. This resolution clarified that Durango is not and never has been a sanctuary city, but it reaffirmed our city's policy to discourage all forms of discrimination and reiterated our commitment to protecting social harmony. In the spirit of these foundational documents, I would like to add to the next council meeting new business, a revised resolution that aims to strengthen our city's position on 2 key fronts, reaffirm our unwavering support for our community's well-being. This includes all our neighbors who are an integral part of our local economy and culture. We must continue to be a city where all residents feel safe and valued regardless of their background. And number 2, ensure our law enforcement can do their jobs effectively while upholding our city's values. The Durango Police Department's vision, 1 department, 1 community, 1 Durango, commits them to building trust, protecting the vulnerable, and preventing crime. This resolution publicly supports our police force in following that mission. This clarity would allow our local law enforcement to maintain the trust they have worked so hard to build, knowing that they have full support of this council. Passing this resolution sends a clear, unified message. It tells our community that we stand with them and with our local police. It reinforces that Durango is a place where all people are treated with respect and dignity under law. So I want that.
Help with the wording on that, but I think I got it.
Just replay the tape, but I'm not done too because I was working with Enrique and Beatrice, and they have stuff. Chaffee County passed something similar, and so we wanted to kind of work together. But that is what they said they wanted specifically from us.
Alrighty, so you're proposing
A resolution.
revamping the two resolutions.
Oh, I need a second.
Second.
No, it just
Oh,
goes
no,
automatically.
it's just going, it
Yeah.
goes automatically on the next thing. You need a second next week. Sorry,
Okay.
you don't even need a second. I'm just putting that on there. You're not gonna be here next week? Oh.
Okay, so,
New business next week. We can talk about it last week. Apparently I talked too much about it. I'm sorry.
alright, so you're just proposing combining the two resolutions we already have into an updated version. There we go. Okay.
Mayor, I have a couple of items.
What?
Couple of items to add too.
Oh,
I'd like to add onto our agenda as new business for council to direct the city manager to work with Agave on details for any proposed sale and easement creation for city-owned property above 10th Street Place. I believe the sale is a unique opportunity. The trails would remain unaffected with the easement, and significant revenue from the sale could be very beneficial in several areas with the city.
oh, the one on the hill.
Yeah.
So this is going under new business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's to sell property?
We got it.
To direct me to work with them.
On what that would look like.
Okay. So not an ordinance yet?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, not an ordinance yet. I would work with them, at least to make sure I've clarified on it, but I would work with them, come back to the council with if it gets passed, an
Proposal.
ordinance that then they would go through.
Yeah.
If approved.
If approved. Second, I'd like to ask for a public hearing, which could change to a study session if we need to, on the legalization of electric mats and fencing for bear deterrence purposes. The current laws are related to a 1960s restriction that is in desperate need of editing, and it's a very effective tool, especially around chicken coops and other opportunity feeding options that are within town. It's a first step to really try and address some of the bear issues. Public hearing is where I started, but now I've all kinds of doubting about public hearing, so. Just a resolution? That's fine. I've got a friendly amendment that I'd like to incorporate. I'll change it. Damn it.
So resolution?
Resolution.
Gotcha.
Thanks. Okay, sounds good. I tried
Okay.
to create one for the next council's. I'll show it to you. A lot of arrows. There's a lot of arrows. I'm scribbles. Mayor, that's all.
Alrighty, does anybody else have any items?
I do.
Alrighty.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jessica, for working on that resolution. I think that's really important. I had some additional action items related to a resolution, which is why I had requested a study session a couple of weeks ago that didn't get support, but perhaps hearing from everybody and meeting individually with some of the people that are working on immigration encourages everybody to take some action items in addition to the resolution. So still requesting a study session on actions we can take to help our immigrant community. Thank you, Mayor.
So that will go on as new business.
So maybe it looks a little bit like an amendment to your request.
No.
Is it the same, is it the same request that you had last time?
Well, yes, I think, Jessica did the resolution. I think that's beautiful. I'm very supportive. I'm glad you got the language. I think there's other things we can do, and that was my request for a study session. We can always do a resolution. I think that's really important. I would fully support that. But there are other actions we can take, some of which were mentioned today.
So you're requesting a study session to see what other actions we can take.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can
Should
put
we-
more new business if you'd like.
Yeah, you want to go for some more?
What meeting can we put this on? I mean, I can go.
Okay, so we're adjourned.
Sorry.